you've been waiting for it. Yesterday we had the StumblingOn Redesign 1 release. Today we're going to have the StumblingOn Metrics release. Because what's the point of redesigning a website if you can't tell whether or not people like to use it, or whether or not the goals of the redesign have been met? Let me show you the metrics release. Here we have the old StumblingOn metrics page. Clearly it's very ugly, but I like to set the bar low for myself in terms of redesigning, in terms of getting improvements. Basically, this just has three huge bar charts, and they show the metrics over the last 6 hours for number of users created, number of likes, and number of stumbles. Let me talk through my goals for this release, the Metrics 1 release. What I wanted to do is change to using data points or metrics. So what I mean by this is, in the old model, I'm actually just running queries to count how many users were created for each of these hours. And it's actually pretty time consuming or resource intensive to make that computation for a large number of data points. So if I wanted to get, days worth of data, it would be hard on the database to do that. So what I want to do instead is change the service to store records that basically just say how many users were created, how many arbitrary thing happened in an arbitrary time. And so that way, rather than querying my users table to figure out how many users were created between these two times, I can just get a single data point for each hour. And that query is going to be easier, faster, and it will let me more performantly run these queries so I can query over a broader range, because that's connected to my next goal, which is to show the metrics not for just the past 6 hours, but over a whole day. And actually, while I was working on it, I changed from over 1 day to 10 days, just because that gives me a bit wider a window. And using the metric or the data point approach, like I was saying, it's much more performant. So I could really go back to really any length of time. And I may, in a future metrics release, I may make it be configurable, so I can specify what, or rather the user can specify what range of time they want to see. The things I wanted to have: number of stumbles, the number of unique users created, and the number of likes. Those are all things that I had before, and I want them to be, following my new metrics plan. I had originally intended to include the number of ad clicks, so the number of times that people clicked the StumblingOn ad right here, the crypto.com referral link. But, basically I just ran out of time tonight, so I'm not going to do that. The ad metric is going to be a little bit more complicated because we're going to have to kind of trigger a new type of thing or get a new record. But basically, I would like to know when people are clicking on my ad, so I can kind of evaluate what percentage of people click on the ad and how good or bad are different ads as I change them over time. So it would be good to get that in there eventually, but for right now I'm kicking it to the Metrics 2 release, which will be sometime in the future. And then finally, I just wanted to lay out the metrics page a little bit better, because obviously right now these giant graphs are awkward to read. So let's take a look at the new metrics page. The new metrics page is also pretty Spartan, pretty sparse, but I think it's much more functional. For one, just to connect to what I was just saying, the graphs are smaller height, so it's easier to look at it. Two, we added this kind of summary statistics thing that just shows us the number of users, the number of stumbles, and the number of likes over the past 10 days. So in addition to making the charts shorter, I also made the charts wider. That is, they stretch back 10 days, and each one of these data points is an hour. So that, that kind of lets us pinpoint interesting moments, like this big spike. We had 492 stumbles, probably not coincidentally. It happened at the same time that we had our most new users created. I guess we had our most new users created hour 10 of the 19th, and hour 12, so it's like an hour or two after that. But you can see like we're creating, 6, 10, 9, whatever. We're creating a bunch of users, then we have a lot of stumbles right after. So that makes sense. Very few likes, always. Now, in order to count as a like for our statistic, the site would have to stay liked until we collected and created the metrics data point. So once the metrics data point is created, then it's kind of like, okay, finalized, that site is liked. And I bring that up because when I'm testing, I usually try to unlike everything I liked, just so I don't falsely create likes on my own metrics. But I don't always remember to do that. So basically, I don't know whether these likes were me or real people liking it. It happened on the 24th. So I guess that's after the release. This is probably testing it. But maybe we had one real one. Anyway, it seems like yesterday I said we were on track yesterday I said I discovered we had 3,000 users a month. It looks like today, over the last 10 days, we're on track for almost 4,000. If we just, multiple. Oh no, excuse me, I'm dumb. You don't multiply by 10, you multiply by 3. So looks like we're on track for 1,200. We're doing worse. Although this is new users created, so this is people who have never been to the website before. So this isn't, it isn't exactly the same thing as that 3,000 figure I mentioned yesterday. But anyway, this is the metrics page. I think it's better, and I'll put it on StumblingOn under the metrics link to replace the old ugly or uglier metrics page. One other thing I wanted to take a look at while I was just messing around with metrics is I threw some of the metrics into a CSV so we could look at them on Google Sheets. And I thought, maybe it would be interesting to plot a few of these things. Turns out I don't think it's that interesting. The plot is kind of dominated by these big spikes here. At some point I posted the webpage on Hacker News or Reddit, and it did get big spikes of traffic, and that kind of dominates the graph. On the right-hand side, we have the y-axis for likes, but you can see that likes almost never happen, even with our orders of magnitude lower y-axis. On the left-hand side, we have the y-axis for new users created and stumbles that happened. So I don't know exactly how informative this graph is. I thought I might learn something from it, but I don't think I did. I also was thinking about, what KPI or what key performance indicator are we going to use to test whether or not the redesign has made the like button more noticeable and made people more likely to click it. So just number of likes is not a good KPI, because if traffic to the website increases or decreases, the rate at which people click the like button may stay the same. But if traffic increases, then it would look like we got more likes. And so that would make me think, the redesign worked when in fact maybe it was just random. So I thought, well, maybe we can do a like to stumble ratio. So the number of times people click the stumble button is the denominator, and the number of times they click the like button is the numerator. Over the entire, operation of this website, the like to stumble ratio, basically it's very, very low. Unfortunately, there are sometimes random spikes where people, I guess, like a lot of websites, or maybe they like things in their history, which explains why sometimes you can have more likes than stumbles. Probably that's me going through clicking the heart button a bunch just to make sure it's still working. Yeah, who knows? So, I mean, bottom line, like to stumble ratio isn't quite perfect, or at least it's not useful to see on a graph. Just calculating the sum of stumbles, or sorry, the sum of likes over the sum of stumbles gives us a pretty good number. I think this is probably going to be the KPI. And as I'm saying this, maybe that means I should add it to the metrics page, just under our other summary statistics, like the ratio of likes to stumbles for the past 10 days. Although I guess I could just calculate it. But I mean, making it show up is going to be more, well, obviously I could calculate it. Like I can't, mentally do this. But it would be, I guess, trivial to just add a second ratio of likes over stumbles, because that's really the goal with the redesign. So what I've found is over the history of the website, it looks like it's like 1 in 1,000. Yeah, so like 1.3 likes per 1,000 stumbles. So the ratio was really bad. And the question I'm going to have for the next 10 days, maybe the next 30 days, is can we do better? I guess I could set a goal for myself. Can we triple the like to stumble ratio? Can we get at least 3 likes per 1,000 stumbles? I'm betting probably can. One additional KPI just occurred to me, which is we can look at the graph of stumbles and look at the trend line. So here I just created a trend line for the past 5,000 or so hours. And it looks like the trend is slightly positive. It says 4.7 times 10 to the negative third. So it's very slightly positive. But if you see this red line here, hidden behind all those blue dots, we can see we're slightly going up. So I'd say that's kind of bad news that growth is so slow. Although it's good news that we are growing. One thing we can do to make it a little bit clearer is instead of looking at the last 5,000, 5,300 data points, we can bring in the time frame a little and look at, say, just the last 5,000 data points. And I think each of these data points is going to be an hour. So let's see, 5,000 hours to days. That's the past 208 days. That doesn't seem quite right. Well, I guess that is longer than I thought. So we were looking at the past 208 days. Now we're going to be looking at the past 125 days. So we've got a better growth ratio, a couple orders of magnitude. That was what was that before? -3, 1, 2. Yeah, maybe 1 order of magnitude better. The trend line is clearer though. So we're going in the right direction. And if we take that in a little bit more, let's see what happens. Oh, we increase. That's good. Let's keep doing that. Let's look at the past, 2,300 hours. I think that may have been 133 to 232. Good. Let's go again. Past 300 hours. Ooh, losing steam. Well, that's good to know. I should probably keep track of this number as well. I should put that on the summary statistics page, because that may be a good thing to track. But anyway, that's going to be the update for StumblingOn today. If you enjoyed this, you can click like or you can subscribe and see the next updates for StumblingOn.